Hey, welcome back DIYers. So you probably remember from last year when I unboxed this ACDelco G12 toolkit that included the electric ratchet and the mini polisher and this impact driver. Or should I say impact wrench, because it has a 3/8 socket drive on it. Well, today we're going to take a look at the impact wrench. Now you're probably wondering, why would you use an impact wrench over, say, one of these nice cordless ratchets? I don't know, I gotta tell you, ever since I got this thing, my impact wrenches have seen almost no use at all. This thing is just that awesome. But before I got this thing, I actually used impact wrenches and impact drivers even quite a bit. In fact, previously one of my favorite tools was a Harbor Freight impact driver that was about the size of this thing, which it wasn't all that powerful, but it was just powerful enough and pretty handy getting fasteners off. Now the unfortunate thing is Harbor Freight discontinued that, so it's no longer available. So I've said impact driver and impact wrench a couple different times now, and the difference between those two is the impact driver has a 1/4 inch quick change collet designed primarily for throwing screws in things, and an impact wrench has a square drive for sockets. Now of course with an adapter you can use an impact driver as an impact wrench, and I've done that quite a bit. But the problem you run into there is that since it just has a little 1/4 inch drive, they just really can't drive that much torque. You run into problems where you're always breaking that little 1/4 inch drive, or the 1/4 inch drive itself is too springy to really deliver very much power to the fastener. So being able to put a socket directly on a square drive on an impact wrench delivers a lot more of the power from the wrench into the fastener. Now one area that impact wrenches have an advantage over things like this is in getting stuck nuts loose. The way these things work is they have a little hammer and anvil system inside here, and they spin the hammers up, and then the hammers will quickly release and hit the anvil, causing an instantaneous shocking torque being applied axially down the drive of the tool. And this really helps breaking loose really stuck nuts and bolts. And of course that means if you're using one of these things to tighten a fastener, it can also apply some bolt snapping torque. So typically these are only used when removing fasteners, but you can use them putting fasteners in too. You just don't want to give it a whole bunch of ugga-duggas. And let's face it, these little guys like this, they just don't put out enough torque to do a whole lot of damage. So it's pretty safe to run fasteners down with these little guys. Now on the box here, it says it has a max torque of 90 foot-pounds. And the way that manufacturers rate these things are all over the map. We really have no idea how they're measuring this 90 foot-pounds. Is that the instantaneous torque of the hammers hitting the anvils? Is this so-called nut-busting torque? Yeah, we really don't know. So I'm gonna hook it up to my little Durofix torque meter and we're gonna do some testing. Let's try it out. All right, so I'm going to assume that 90 foot-pounds on the box is so-called nut-busting torque. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten this bolt down that I have here in my vise to test to 90 foot-pounds. And then we'll see if the little guy can undo it. All right, got it to 90.4. Now I'll point out something kind of funny here. This is actually a 3/8 inch drive, which is very common for most sockets, right? But most impact sockets use a 1/2 inch drive. Now typically you're not supposed to use chrome sockets on an impact, but this thing's probably so puny that it doesn't really matter. But still, it's just kind of one of those things that's, funny. So we're gonna have to use this little adapter to put it on this guy. All right, let's see what happens. Did I have it going in the right direction? Yeah, it is. It's going in reverse. Okay, well, the box is BS. It can't remove fasteners that are torqued to 90 foot-pounds. So let's drop this down to 80 and see if it'll do that. I went over a little bit. 82. That'll work. Well, that sucks. All right, let's go for 70. Surely it can do 70. 72.6. So let's try that. Ah, well that just sucks. You know what, let me try a different battery. Maybe this battery is just slow. I don't think it is, it shouldn't be. All right, well that's BS. Let's try 60 foot-pounds. Did it to 61.5. All right, well, it worked for 61.5. All right, I'm gonna take it up to 65 and see if it'll do that. Pretty good, 65.5. Well, it took several seconds, but it did 65. I'm gonna take it back to 70 one more time, just try it out. 71.4, I ought to do that. All right, well, 71.4, probably gonna be about the max it'll do. All right, maybe we're just getting warmed up here. I'm gonna take it back up to 75. Now, one thing to keep in mind with these guys is that the longer you have it hammering away, the more likely it is to undo it faster, because it's accumulation of those hammer strikes applying the torque in impulses, right? So count the seconds and see how long it actually takes to undo it at 76 foot-pounds. So it's working, but is that a reasonable amount of time? I wasn't really paying attention to the clock. So you guys tell me in the comments below. So let's see what it'll do with forward torque. I'm actually going to pay attention to the clock here and do it for 15 seconds. Now 15 seconds is kind of a long time to hold the wrench on there, blasting away at it. But let's see what kind of torque is required to loosen this bolt now. 32.7. That's nothing, man. Well, I guess you don't have to worry about this thing over torquing any fasteners. All right, well, as you can tell, I'm not terribly impressed with this thing. Their brushless ratchet can actually put out more torque than their impact can, which is kind of funny. I'm really kind of struggling to understand why you would want such a small impact wrench. You know, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And you know, it's not a bad tool, I just kind of wish it was better. It does have some kind of nice features. Whenever you gently squeeze the trigger, it actually tells you the state of your battery, which is kind of nice. And it has like one of those dinky little LED lights that, you know, pretty much every tool has these days. It feels like a quality tool, but it just doesn't have very much chooch. I think this thing would actually be better as an impact driver just to use to run screws in and stuff like that. Which of course you can do, but then you have to get a 3/8" screwdriver adapter for this thing. So overall, meh. Well, I know this is a little bit of a disappointing review, but if you like content like this, please hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching.